So we're jumping back in now to Jarnail Singh's testimony in the now infamous Horizon bashing bandwagon email, where he's clearly trying to say, actually, well, I didn't write it, whilst not really saying who did, despite the fact he does accept that he dictated it to his secretary, who then sent it out with his name. He said, well, it was a big case, they needed my name on it. But he says this type of language doesn't come naturally to him, and therefore Jason Bate is asking the wrong person about this email. Well, if Jarnail Singh, who sent the email, isn't the right person, who is? Let's jump into the inquiry.
It was something that would come naturally to you, because you viewed this case, didn't you, Mr. Singh, as being about an attack on Horizon, didn't you?
Absolutely not.
And that's why you've headed your email up that way.
No. I can honestly say, let me put it this way. Look, Mr. Bear, no.
Who viewed the case as an attack on Horizon?
Well, I think after a period, I think it started off as a very simple case. I think Mrs. Misra pleaded guilty.
No. Who viewed the case as an attack on Horizon?
I don't know. I mean, I wish I could assist. I don't know. I honestly do not know.
But you didn't?
I did not.
So you're typing an email.
I didn't type it.
Okay, you're dictating it to your secretary.
Yes. And I think, like I told you, if you look back at the cover of the file, I don't know who I was talking to, and that's where I didn't have a paper, so I jotted the notes on the cover of the file. And if you give me time at the break, I will tell you where it is. But there is a cover where there's scribbles and whatever it is on it.
I think I know the document you're referring to.
Yeah. But
are you saying somebody dictated?
Yes.
You needed to use the words
yes.
Attack on Horizon?
Absolutely.
Hold on. You dictated an email even though you didn't believe that it was a case about an attack on Horizon.
Well,
is that where we've got to?
Well, there's attack on the Horizon. The Horizon got no stake in the Horizon. I don't even know how I operated or anything of that nature. So,
well, he does have a stake in Horizon because he was quite a senior lawyer. Well, he was a senior lawyer in the business that used Horizon, so he does really have a stake in it. I mean, this comes under a similar category to, I guess, the witness statements which haven't been read and have been signed. Once you dictated it, it's coming from you. You own it.
Certainly, dealing with the Misra case, I mean, it opened my eyes to all sorts of things. I mean, before I didn't have. All I was trying to express to you originally was that my case was that you have the investigation file, you assess it as appropriate in line with evidence in the public interest test. And then if there's an appropriate charge, you put it before the court for the court to decide. But certainly this thing doesn't come naturally to me. My thing was I finished the job, the case is completed, legal executives managed it, and they would have concluded the case. They would have done reported to the post office support office and CC'd in the officer. That would have been a normal. But because this case was the only case that actually had a lot of, actually went to trial, I think, and obviously all of a sudden everybody was interested in it. Susan Crichton, I mean, I don't know what position she had at that time, but I'm sure it was a senior. And certainly the other people involved in it, presumably they had some sort of
why was this case viewed by others as an attack on Horizon, rather than simply a lady in criminal proceedings saying that she was not guilty of stealing money, rather the operation of the system and errors within it were to blame for the losses?
I think you're asking the wrong person. I certainly wouldn't be.
So the man that dictated the email that says attack on Horizon is the wrong person to ask why the case was viewed as an attack on Horizon. Is that where we've got to, Mr. Singh?
I think so. Honestly, this sort of thing doesn't come naturally to me, and certainly I would have completed the case. I'm the lawyer in the case, and I would have got one of the legal executives to, in a normal scheme of things, they would have reported, concluded the case, and that would have been it. And certainly because of the importance of the other side, the other aspect of the business, or the wider business internally, that's why it was dealt with in that way.
Isn't it the case that your use of this word, or these words, is a fair description, and it precisely represents how you saw things at the time? If someone said they weren't responsible for losses, but that Horizon had system errors, that was an attack on Horizon. That's how you viewed matters, isn't it?
No, absolutely not. Like I said, this system has been in existence. You had senior people to me with more experience who've been dealing with it, and it just somehow or other, this case landed on my desk, and I dealt with it as I felt it ought to be done. I was very careful and cautious, and I think maybe we'll be coming onto it subsequently. I think I put every single thing in it to make sure that it was very thorough. There should be no stones unturned to have this lady being either put through it or certainly found guilty and went to prison for it. That is not the sort of thing I would want to get involved in.
Well, there wasn't no stone left unturned, clearly, because there was clearly missing evidence, and again, it's kind of comes back to a bit of a potential suggestion of a toxic culture where we're being attacked. Let's go on the defence, even though actually they launched the attack by launching the prosecution against Singh and Misra. But it does seem here he's keen to talk about other things to try and deflect away from this, but it is stretching the bounds of believability here that actually he dictated something, being obviously a smart man, and totally disagreeing with the contents now that in the cold light of day, some 13, 14 years later, he doesn't think it actually looks good. That is really stretching the bounds of, what you could expect people to believe, I think.
You say in your email, after a lengthy trial at Guildford Crown Court, the above name was found guilty of theft. This case turned from a relatively straightforward general deficiency case to an unprecedented attack on the Horizon system. We were beset with, I think this should read, an unparalleled degree of disclosure requests by the defence through the hard work of everyone, Counsel Warwick Tatford, Investigation Officer John Longman, and through the considerable expertise of Gareth Jenkins of Fujitsu. We were able to destroy, to the criminal standard of proof, beyond all reasonable doubt, every single suggestion made by the defence. It's to be hoped that the case will set a marker to dissuade other defendants from jumping on the Horizon bashing bandwagon.
So this is the bandwagon email. It's signed off by him. He owns it now. I'm struggling to believe that somebody else told me I had to write all these things and I just went along with it. It doesn't strike me like something that he would do. So this was sent in October 2010 with an unparalleled degree of disclosure request by the defence. Well, if it's unparalleled, do you mean someone's actually asking you to perform full disclosure in a case where you should actually just be doing that automatically? The tone that it's written in, beset with unparalleled degrees of disclosure requests by the defence. What, they were just asking for the things they were entitled for? We were able to destroy every single allegation made by the defence. It's kind of language that is, not necessarily how you'd expect a lawyer to put it, but it's like you've gone into battle with somebody versus actually prosecuted somebody who's guilty of a crime. And then the last line, which is the one which stands out, from jumping on the Horizon bashing bandwagon. Well, at the end of the day, they were, in Mr. Singh's words, jumping on the Horizon bashing bandwagon because it was true. They weren't trying to deflect, which is what the suggestion is there, I think. No, they're jumping on it now because it is a problem for them. They have their suspicions, so far from it being an open and shut case, which is what they seem to suggest when they say it's a relatively straightforward, bigger because of the problems with Horizon, because actually these things didn't happen, because these shortfalls didn't exist. And if Horizon was robust, and he's saying at the time one of the things he wishes is that he didn't take at face value the fact that everything was robust with Horizon, so at that time he did take it at face value and believed in it, you wouldn't be afraid of people launching a so-called attack on Horizon because you would know that you have the evidence to back it up, unless you don't, or unless you know that actually it's far from robust.